So, hello.
Hi.
To start off, would you like to say your name and where you are?
Okay, my name is Nilufer, but for the Americans, it sounds like with SH at the end. No, it's a rolling R, Nilufer, like
Ah,
Lucifer, or
mm-hmm,
uh, you can read as you write it, but
mm-hmm.
it's not visible now. So it's Nilufer, Voltanacar. Voltan is my maiden name, and
Mm-hmm.
Acar is the second name. I use both of them. And Nilüfer means water lily, uh, and I'm in Ankara, Turkey.
It means water lily in Turkish.
Yes, in Turkish. And also in Indian, I think, because most of my Indian friends and maybe Persian know about what Nilüfer.
Interesting. Okay. Well, the first big question is, who are you? I mean, who are you as a person, as a human being? You can talk about your passions, your values, any qualities about yourself, whatever you'd like to
Oh,
mention.
that's really a hard question, difficult. But like till my 50s, I really didn't know who was I. But after 50s, and as I trained in Gestalt therapy, I after so many aha experiences, I kind of come to know a little bit who I am. And the big problem I have is that I have a problem of not uh, procrastination. You know,
Mm.
everybody has a problem of procrastination, but unfortunately, I'm always on time. Not always on time, but before time. And
Yes, this
that's my
interview almost happened last week, but I was late.
anyway, that's my problem. And my husband says that we even go to the wedding parties before the bride and the groom comes and say hello to the visitors as if we are the host. So, and I am trained a little bit on that, but I'm not really trained. I'm always early, and I don't know what to do, but I'm always planned and ahead. I make my plans and my outline and everything. And whenever my friends start doing their homework, I've already done mine. And like before, when I was taking my master's before Christ in 1980s or 70s, in 15 days or so, I used to finish my homework and start doing homeworks. So that's the biggest problem. Internet connection is unstable, says. I don't know, is it because of mine or yours?
Yeah, it says yours, but sometimes it comes and goes. I can still hear you, so we'll continue.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest problem I have. And the other problem, I don't know whether it's a problem or wisdom. Uh, well, in this world, it's sometimes a problem because I always tell what is on my mind.
Hmm.
You know, I don't have a filter at all. When it comes here, it is here, you know.
Hmm.
So people are not used to facing the truth. So it's sometimes hurting, and I have many enemies around. So these are, yeah, these are the two problems I face. But it's my personality, really, especially the second one.
Hmm.
I cannot really, um, within quotations, dance.
Hmm.
I'm strict, you know, tell the truth and tell what I think because I believe that if it's the truth or it's the right thing to do, I always tell it. but it's a problem for the 21st century.
Socially, it may be a bit of a problem sometimes.
Yeah.
But would you say that's a quality about yourself, or is it a problem?
Well, it's a quality, but it's always it's a problem too. I mean,
Hmm.
because of that quality or characteristics, a problem is created.
Hmm. Hmm. So what about what you might consider your values? Do you have a particular value that you organize around in your life? Something, a principle that's particularly important to you?
Well, telling the truth or being strict is my value, and I
Hmm.
think I really designed my life according to that.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. So another question would be, in your experiences in your life, does something come to mind as an event or as a set of circumstances that has really defined you or shaped you?
Mm, I didn't, I haven't thought of that. Which event? Okay, okay. As I said before in the beginning, like for about 7 or 8 years, I attended to international Gestalt therapy workshops in different countries, designed by GENI, Gestalt Education Network Institute, who were Jerry Kogan and Billy Kogan
Mhm.
were the founders of the institute. And I attended to those, and I became addicted to the workshops, really. Even though I got my license or certificate, I attended, I kept attending. And in those groups, I realized many things, like I was being aware of what was done or what was being done to me by my mother. Really trying. She is still a manipulative lady, and she was really manipulating my life. And I had many psychosomatic reactions probably, and I didn't know why I was having those, but I realized in those awareness sessions.
Hmm. Okay. So would you say was the event or the circumstance the training, or was it your mother that changed you, that really shaped you?
uh, my mother
Hmm.
before tried to shape me, but
Hmm.
in training, they reshaped me.
Okay, it's interesting. Um, and I'm curious, would you say there's anything about your context or your culture that you live in that is that is really part of who you are as an individual, as a person?
Sure, you cannot. You are like social anthropologist
Yeah,
and
it's kind of a
probably
field theory question,
sociologist,
but
and as being ecology and environment really designs, or Kurt Lewin, remember field therapy,
Mhm.
or the domino effect, like you cannot really take a person away from the society or from the field that she lives in.
Mhm.
So I am the product of my society, of course.
Mhm. Yeah. And how is that? In what way?
Ah, how is that? In what way? Like, even though I was trained, or I went to the States for 2 years, I was a Fulbright scholar and grad school of social work. I went there in Utah. And then since 11 years old till 18, I went to an American high school. So
Mhm.
I kind of got culturated in American way, but I cannot really take myself apart from my society, because as my family, I didn't have a father. He died when I was 4 years old, but I used to live with my mom, and even the neighbors, you know, what the neighbors will say really is the big issue in Turkey. What about the others? And it's a shame, shame, shame.
Oh.
And in our society, maybe in my family, like really guilt is induced a lot. Feeling of guilt.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It is. Shame and guilt is the big issue also. And like when I was, I don't know how old I was, but my mom, I remember her saying that, you know, what about the neighbors? And then you know, we were living in an apartment, and I knew that the neighbors will hear me, hear me from the other side. And I said, them with the neighbors. And from then on, my mom didn't say anything about the neighbors, because she was so ashamed that the neighbors hurt me. And it's a shame. So,
But that's very smart, though.
so she didn't say anything, so that she didn't want to trigger me, because I will shout again, and it will be shame
Wow.
for the neighbors. I mean, they will
Wow.
talk about and gossip about us.
Wow. Wow. So another question that I have is, in over the course of your life, it can be in any aspect of your life, who is a person that you would say has really influenced you? I mean, maybe other than your mother. Freud loves the
Well,
parent
it's a
answers,
bad
but
way. I
yeah.
mean, my mother is, oh, I never thought of that, but there might be some. Oh, okay. Like we called Abla. Abla is big sister, and it's not a big. I'm the only child. She's not a big sister really in my family, but I call her like that, and she's kind of empathic, listening person. You know, kind of giving advice, and I kind of try to identify with her, so that I wouldn't identify with my mom. So I'm not, for example, and also my aunt and my mother's sister, and she's like my mother, and she is different than my mother, and I am pretty much like my aunt rather than my mother. Like my mom says that, oh, you look like your aunt. You know, you're not, you don't look like me. And my aunt, I'm like her, very much giving, and probably, yeah, sharing.
Okay. So this is probably the last more personal question, and not everyone chooses to answer this because it's not a way that they want to define themselves. But I'm curious what your experience is of yourself as a woman or in your gender.
Ah,
If that's a way that you think about yourself.
well, I'm going to try. I'm going to tie this to my mom also, because there wasn't any father figure in our family, and she tried to keep me away from men probably protect me, kind of, and kind of feel like I'm married, I have a daughter, but I feel like I'm neutral, no gender. And
And what?
probably, like, unfortunately, our society is turning backwards in they're going, there are many fundamentalists and movements and all that, violence toward women and all that. So trying to protect ourselves, we have to kind of dress up, not like women or women are neutral. So in a way, this really helps me to protect me from violence. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
No, I mean, it's just a question about your own experience. There is obviously no answer that I would expect. So would you like to say anything more about that? How neutral,
Well,
or
I don't know.
what is neutral like?
I really don't know how to act like woman, probably. I'm just straightforward, and few men would like that, really. And in Turkey, I am like for about 25 years or so. Since 1966, I have my full professorship and worked in the university, and it's really hard for a man to kind of to carry me also in our country. I mean, in countries like Turkey. With the last moment, I mean, because I kind of feel sorry for men too. Sure, men who are like us, not fundamentalists, because they are also forced by those kinds of people.
It sounds like a lot of pressure.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you. So another question, which is a bit of a switch. You mentioned that you got addicted to the workshops with Willie and her husband. So how did you first discover Gestalt? How did you find it, or how did it find you?
Well, while I was taking my higher license, master's courses in theories of counseling and psychotherapy, we had Gestalt, okay, by Pearls and all that. And in 1980s, I really wanted to be trained in Gestalt therapy. But in Turkey, we didn't have any access for Gestalt therapy. What I did is, then I thought that there were similarities between psychodrama and Gestalt. So I started with psychodrama in 1982 because Dr. Lloyds, who was the head of Ubelingen Psychodrama Institute, came to Ankara, and here we started psychodrama sessions and all that training. And I attended, and I was one of the 3 persons who got their certificate in psychodrama in Turkey, the pioneer. Okay, but I realized that there are more not similarities, the opposite of differences. Okay, more differences than similarities. And in 1995 or 6, where I saw the pamphlets of Gestalt therapy, and then we could transfer money before in 1980s or so. We couldn't, our currency cannot be transferred. But in 1990s, it was easier. So I wrote to Geni, and they accepted. They give even a scholarship For 3 years, I got a scholarship from them for the basic group. And then I invited Jerry and Billy to Ankara, and then we went to Istanbul, and they had a workshop here also. I kind of arranged that. And afterwards, for the advanced group, I attended for 3 years, and then I attended another workshop. And then later, I got a body movements in Gestalt therapy or something by Kepner in Frankfurt. And I finished that too. Did I finish? Or for 3 times, 15 days, I went to Frankfurt. The last one I didn't go, so I didn't finish. Anyway, that's my Gestalt story.
And what did you find in Gestalt? What is it that attracted you or interested you?
Well, for example, psychodrama is too long, like first scene and second scene, second blah, 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 blah. And at the end, you come to the unfinished business. But in Gestalt therapy, in 14 minutes or 45 minutes, you come. So it's my personality.
You're very direct, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it goes right to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of extra stuff. Huh. And so, that's a very simple answer. I'll take that. So what about what you've done with it? What have you done with Gestalt in your life? I mean.
Okay, let me tell you, I developed, my doctoral student and I really developed one Voltanacar Molay integrative model in counseling. Okay, so it's an integration of Gestalt therapy, psychodrama, and cognitive therapies. Okay, and in the West, when you look at the psychotherapy theories, you found that, except for psychodrama, they developed for individual counseling, and then they are adapted to a group. But one is developed for group counseling, and it's an individual focused group counseling, really. An individual, but we do not deny the other, the group dynamics there, really, as a social worker, because I'm also a social worker. And we do our work there. Okay, the second difference from the other therapies is that we talked about 6 change strategies, because in the other therapy piece, psychotherapy theories, they don't have change strategy as far as I know. There is a behavioral, affective, spiritual, relational, wholeness, and there is one more, a cognitive change strategies. So this is different, but I have a little bit complaint. We wrote it to we kind of sent this to the West, but I think they are really fed up with many theories, the counseling theories, and because we developed it for the Middle Eastern countries, probably for our environment, because my PhD student was from Persia also. They don't really liked it. Or in some journals, the editorial board are from medical doctors. Mm-hmm. So they don't really know about counseling. Mm-hmm. And some others, I don't know, they reject it. But it's really, through Gestalt and psychodrama and cognitive psychotherapy, we kind of design this Voltanacar Molay integrative model. And
Well, I mean, it's strange that it could be incredibly useful, especially if it has that cultural base, working with those same cultural populations all over the world. I mean,
probably, but I don't know. I mean, they sometimes want money, some journals. You know the problem.
business, yeah.
And like, we take individual is in the middle, and then the boundaries,
Mhm,
and then the self, and
mhm,
then the family, environment, and the world, and then cosmos for individual. You cannot really, it's an
mhm,
integrative thing. You
mhm.
cannot think an individual away from those. And then in the group, uh, we take the other's interaction with this individual. It's really a nice, but is that an answer to your question, or did you ask a personal thing?
No, I mean, I asked what you do with Gestalt,
Okay,
because
then my doctoral students, I had two doctoral students, except for that Persian guy. We developed an unfinished business scale. Okay, and then what we did for that with that scale is that after, because my doctoral student has two PhD, one is evaluation, and the other one is in counseling. So what we do, measurement and evaluation. Anyway, like this one, unfinished business, anger, guilt, shame, and forgiveness. Okay, they are all related, and we did in fact, he did, because he's from measurement, PET analysis,
mhm.
and probably we are gonna present it in Hamburg
Oh,
next
okay.
year.
So this is new.
Sure, in 19, I mean, not in 1920 or 2018 is this
Okay.
one. And the other one is my other doctoral student now. She is an associate professor. We developed a contact disturbances scale.
Hmm.
And in Gans journal, it is
Okay.
printed, published. And we found another, there is that need formation cycle,
Mhm.
like pre-contact, contact, and post-contact.
Post contact. Mhm.
In contact and post-contact, we find another dimension for the Turkish students, and we call it dependent contact.
Mm. Okay.
Uh-huh. So it's for our culture, really. And so we are using the scales because I'm retired from the
Mhm.
university in 2015. Now this is my new university, TEDÜ, in Ankara, but we do not have master's program or doctorate program. I'm trying to. So now we are not really doing a research, but for Hamburg we are preparing another paper, and rumination and unfinished business,
Hmm. So it
because
sounds like you
there,
keep very busy and you keep your students very busy.
yeah, but I know that there is a relationship between rumination, which
Mhm.
is a cognitive uh, concept,
Mhm.
and unfinished business.
Right.
If you have not finished your businesses, then there is rumination.
Yes,
So
it's not ruminating if it's finished, right? So.
yeah,
Hmm.
so we
Okay.
are going to look for that. and then trying to present it in Hamburg, if possible, if Corona lets us.
Well, if not, I'm sure there'll be some way of presenting things virtually. Who knows where we'll be at that point. But so that's interesting. It
And
seems like you've
also,
been
I wrote a
very.
book,
Oh,
Gestalt therapy, and how much I'm aware
oh, okay. In what language?
in Turkish.
Interesting.
In Turkish, and yeah, this is the 8th printing. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there, this is another question for you, is there a community that you feel part of, a Gestalt community? I mean, if you've printed 8 printings of your book, I'm assuming that you're involved with a community on some level, or how connected are you, or where do you
in Turkey
feel connected?
not
In Turkey,
I'm
or
not
whatever your
connected
community
really
is to you?
In Turkey because like I am from counseling psychology, okay, but there are some people who are the graduates of clinical psychology, and they think that they monopolize and think that Gestalt should be in their hands. So they established an association here, and even they, at the beginning, 7 or 8 issues they print out, and they didn't invite me, okay? But they make workshops. They had workshops, and in order to earn money, they invite the students in psychological counseling, but they say that we are not going to give certificates to you anyway. But they are not in psychology association here. I found out that that person is not eligible. She is not telling the truth because they write to not Cleveland, the one at the Los Angeles side. Anyway, one of the Gestalt Institute that she claims that she is the graduate, she got her certificates, and the association wrote that they don't know her.
So
this is the gossip.
It's the gossip, but where do you find yourself? Where do you feel connected to a community, or do you not feel connected to a community?
I don't feel I'm connected because I feel I'm by myself here. But as Sam wrote to me, I said, "Oh, okay, they are my friends," and he's really. I lost his address a couple of times because I had a problem with my email anyhow. And as he wrote me back, I was really pleased because I knew him since 1996 or so, the first Gestalt meeting in PIAC International by Geni. Anyway, so I kind of feel connected, and he is the one who introduced me to you probably.
Yeah.
Sam Manikan.
Yeah. So it's one person who is in India.
Or the other Indians like Kailash also. And the others, no. I lost track of Willie also.
Okay. I mean, some people have a huge community and it's like the base for their social life, and it almost feels like
not
family.
In Turkey. But, I mean, because like in Turkey, cognitive therapies are more fashionable.
Yeah, happens a lot of places. So another question that I have for you would be, what comes to mind as a challenge that you've faced in some way in Gestalt? I mean, sometimes it's academic, sometimes it's clinical, just a difficulty that you've gone through in the Gestalt world.
I just didn't quite get the question. Explain a little.
Yeah, do you identify a particular challenge that you faced I mean, it sounds like you don't have a lot of community. So for some people, that's challenging. But whether academically or even with an individual client or with a group, a challenge that you've experienced, a difficulty.
Uh-huh. I have a group person,
Mhm,
really. Most of my articles are about groups. And as I said, I usually, like in 10, for 10 years, last 10 years, I use individual focused groups
mhm,
and rather than encounter groups,
mhm,
because they are more intrapsychic, and
mhm,
I try to go deep.
mhm,
Uh, so, uh, and I kind of feel myself uh, like I integrated my polarities. One side, like research, and the other side is practical.
mhm.
But I consider myself as have a homeostasis in both areas.
Okay.
I'm not at this end or at that end.
Mhm,
And probably in Turkey, they are rather into research, or even in the world,
mhm,
or in clinical work. But I can do both.
mm. Okay. So that was, I'm assuming, a difficult balance to find, or was
Uh,
that just very natural for you?
Natural,
Oh.
natural, because I start doing practicum since 1974,
Mhm.
probably before you were born,
Yes, actually.
before Christ.
Hmm. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I love the fact that you are not answering the question about a challenge. It seems like you just kind of you solve things and
Well, you're right. Or maybe I am deflecting the question.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We won't get into that. So another question would be how you would say Gestalt has affected you as a person.
Oh, it affected a lot because, like, especially in our culture, uh, we don't really live the moment.
Hmm.
But after getting trained in Gestalt, I really am trying to live the moment, because I was always running. I don't know where, but probably my my aunt and my mother always said that, "Oh, you're gonna die. Oh,
Oh.
you're gonna die." Yeah, because in our family, extended family, the people who have who are named Nilufer died very young. Okay,
Why would you choose that name
I
then for
didn't
your
choose. My
child?
father named
No.
me
Okay.
after his mother.
Okay.
Okay, so they are kind of generalized, saying that
Right.
you're gonna die. And I realized afterwards that before I die, I should do this. Before I die, I should do this. Therefore, I was running.
Mm.
But now uh, I am comparatively slower.
Hmm.
Uh,
So this is you being slow and retired and
yeah, I am retired. I'm
Mhm.
working, but
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So on the other side, let's see if you like this polarity of the question better than the challenge. What comes to mind as one of your greatest memories or one of your greatest experiences, either in training, in clinical work, with a group, a particular aha, just something that you say, I remember this.
well, it is hard when you ask that question to kind of visualize all your life and find the answer. But I have to kind of sleep over it.
Mhm,
And I have many ahas probably,
mhm,
but now I cannot find the right answer now.
Mhm. You're in the present moment.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Well, I sometimes sort of let this question go, but I will ask, what about a moment with a client? Because sometimes, we're talking very personally, and everybody has opportunities, for supervision and for sharing with groups. But do you remember a particular moment with a client that has really touched you or that you find meaningful?
Probably, I remember crying with the client, and I cannot. I mean, I share with her saying that I'm touched by what you're saying. That I cannot stop crying because I believe that I have to share or disclose myself instead of kind of uh, being stiff
Mm-hmm.
and trying to hide things. Then I cannot be authentic then. So at first I am trained with Rogerian
Mm-hmm.
mentality, and then psychodrama, and then Gestalt.
Mm-hmm.
So I can not deny the therapeutic conditions like empathy, respect, uh, concreteness,
Mm-hmm.
transparency. So,
Hmm. Okay. Well, the last real question that I have for you is, what's next? I mean, where are you going? Hopefully, Hamburg will be part of the plan. But is there a particular project that you're looking forward to? And the other part is, where do you think Gestalt is going in the crazy world that we live in now?
let me start from the last part. I don't know where Gestalt is going because, as I said, like now cognitive therapies are more on fashion. Therefore, and like cognitive therapies are easier to teach probably because um, they are cognitive, they give the lessons and all that. For Gestalt, people are not patient enough to have the Gestalt training for 12 years like I had, or for so many years. And like in cognitive therapies, they don't have to bring themselves. But in Gestalt therapy, it's like experiential. The groups, you have to be yourself, and it's really hard for a person to open up. And like in Gestalt groups, we have to brought ourselves, and afterwards some friends asked me for some pamphlets or for notes and all that. It doesn't have many notes at all, because what is done to us, we kind of assimilate, digest afterwards, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of those are the aha probably moments. And then those experiences become part of us, and we use those experiments or experiments and experiences for to our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Gestalt is really difficult for the 21st century people to learn.
Hmm. Okay.
Am I
No, I
wrong?
mean, I understand the logic. I just, I have.
Maybe in the States
Mhm.
it's easier, but in Turkey, like in Middle Eastern countries, people are kind of so close, uh, and they don't share, they don't bring up themselves. So it's easier for them to learn cognitive therapy. So
Hmm.
therefore, I don't know where Gestalt is going.
Hmm.
But what was the first question?
Where are you going? Where are you
Where am
going
I
with
going?
Gestalt?
Well, I am 68 now. Before this corona, I was really going so many places, have plans and traveling. I used to travel a lot and like to travel. And I kind of find time twice a year to go the far places like South America or India or China. But now I cannot go anywhere. So physically I cannot go anywhere. So I don't know where as a soul I am going. I'm a little bit pessimistic because of those corona days, these corona days.
Months.
Therefore, a little bit depressive.
Mm. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm excited to hear about your research and the things that you're developing, and I hope that they will take us the same place someday. That would be interesting to meet. So
Thank you.
I don't think
I
this
also,
can last forever. There has to be a way. There has
yeah,
to be a way
but
out.
I'm getting older.
I think all of us are. But yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to add right now? Anything you feel like we've missed or a part of yourself that you need to put here?
Uh, I thought you were going to ask many questions about Gestalt therapy, theory, and all that. And
No, it's definitely
the
not an oral
questions were
exam.
so personal, but it doesn't, I mean, it's not a problem for me because my guts are so out all the time. So it wasn't a problem for me.
Okay. Well, in that case, would you like us to leave it here? I really appreciate your time, and it's been lovely to meet you.
Same is here. Thank you. Will you